Hey everyone, Tech Gamer here. Hurricane Henri has arrived. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to do some instrument-only flying in your aircraft when there is little to no visibility. So stay tuned and let's get it started. Okay, so here we are on runway 20, facing south towards the Atlantic Ocean. As you can see, it is pouring rain. The wind is at about 30 knots, and it is just horrible visibility. So we're going to go ahead here and do some demonstrations on how to do some instrument-only flying. Now, for this scenario, we're going to be following what's called IFR, which is Instrument Flight Rules, and that is used when visibility is limited and you can't see. So you have to rely on your instrumentation more than visual acuity. So let's go ahead and turn off the parking brake, and let's see how this takeoff goes. This is going to be interesting because the wind is really strong at about 30 knots right now, and these planes tend to get blown around pretty hard the closer you are to the ground. So let's see how this takeoff goes. We're going to leave the flaps at 10% and bring up the throttle to 100%, and away we go. Try and keep the plane as straight as possible here. Drifting and compensating. There we go. So we are at takeoff speed. So let's rotate and put our landing gear up. And we are on our way. You can see we're passing 500 feet and you can barely see the ground. We'll set our flaps up and we'll head out over the Atlantic Ocean. Checking all our systems here, everything looks good. No warnings or errors. As you can see, you can't see a thing. All you can see is clouds and rain. So we're going to go ahead here and keep raising our altitude. As you can see, when you fly by instrumentation only, you need to be aware of all your instruments and monitor everything from your map on the right to your altimeter and everything that's on the left, your airspeed, your direction, your altitude. So looking outside again here, nothing to see. Nothing to see. So the trick with flying with instrumentation is that middle line. You see that middle horizontal line on the left screen? That is the point of level that you want to be at, which is where if you're above that, you're raising altitude. If you're below that, you're dropping in altitude. So in our case, we're going to raise some altitude here, just to see if we can get over this storm, which I doubt we will. Right now, Hurricane Henri, I believe, is still classified as a hurricane. I think it's a Category 1 hurricane. So the winds are not too strong, but still strong enough to cause significant damage. But naturally, we'll go ahead and fly in it. So the trick to flying, obviously, again, is all about following your instrumentation when you're in IFR rules. You want to follow things for references. So in our case, because we're just a little bit out over the ocean, we've got those beacons that we can follow on the right there, and that we've got our standard instrumentation. So I'm going to go ahead and drop some altitude here. And let's see what the water looks like during this hurricane. See how bad the waves are. We'll go ahead and buzz down by the water here. So again, I can't see a thing. So I'm relying on literal instrumentation to track my altitude because visibility, there is none. But we should see the water here shortly. Still nothing. Passing 1,200 feet. 1,000 feet. 700 feet. There's the water. So let's go ahead and bring it down to about, we'll say 100 feet. Waves actually don't look too bad. They're just what you'd expect for the ocean. And we'll stop at about 200 feet. It's close enough. And bring it down a little more, why not? Yeah, it's a little close. So yeah, the waves are looking pretty good. So you can see this low, but that doesn't help us because it's incredibly dangerous. So let's go ahead and bring the engines back up to 100% and get some altitude. We'll go ahead and switch back to a cockpit view here. So again, we need to continual monitoring of all our instrumentation systems. So keeping up, watching our airspeed, which is a little low at the moment, our rate of climb, and our altitude, and everything. So we're going to go ahead and turn back towards the land, again following the beacons and just our general path in which we came. Again, just here you can't see a thing still. So I'm relying strictly on instrumentation at this point. Let's go ahead and continue our climb here, and I will show you how to get back to your runway that you took off from. So we're at a 25 degrees up, and we'll go ahead and level out here and make a nice gradual turn. So as you can see on the heads-up displays in the cockpit here, we can see land up ahead on our instrumentation, and that is what we're going to use for our reference points here. Again, following the beacons that are in the ocean. Those beacons are used to monitor waves and other environmental conditions, but they also work well as tracking points for aircraft, believe it or not. So we're going to level out here and just continue straight. Flying in IFR rules is a lot of fun, but it's incredibly challenging because you have 0 points of reference, as you can see. Like, there's nothing. It's just clouds and rain. So landing is even more of a challenge, but I will make a separate video on how to land during IFR rules. So as you can see, we've got our point of reference locked in on the bottom left instrumentation panel here. We're going to follow into that little inlet there in the land and use that as our point of reference. The runway is basically straight ahead. You can actually see it on the map there, but looking up straight ahead out of the plane, you can't see anything still. So we're relying strictly on instrumentation here. And this takes a professional pilot, years of training and experience to do stuff like this. It is pouring rain outside, thunder, lightning. The wind is just wicked. That's why you keep seeing me tilt periodically. I keep getting blown around by the wind. So you have to constantly compensate for that kind of thing. So we're continuing our path back. We're coming up on the inlet. If you want a real challenge when flying during IFR rules, you can actually turn your GPS off and you lose some of the maps and visibility on your instrumentation panel, and you have to rely solely on your left screen basically, which is really a lot of fun, but it is a hard challenge. I wish they actually made that into a challenge in this game. I may have to go ahead and request that. So we're going to continue our gradual turn to the right here. We can see our runway airport on the map. That's that blue icon there on the right map. So we're going to kind of turn towards it. Now, looking at the left map, you can actually see the runway on our graphical display here, and it should appear shortly in visual range. And there's the runway. So now what you would want to do is you would want to go ahead and line yourself up for a proper landing, following all the rules of the airport and the glide slope, and taking into account other aircraft and stuff like that. So thank you everyone for watching this video. Please click that like button and subscribe to the channel.